and welcome to Highways Presents, where the experts of our industry bring their knowledge to the world. My name's Dominic Browne, I'm the editor of Highways magazine, and I'm honoured to be joined today by FM Conway, one of my favourite companies, and not just because they handle the roads in my area. FM Conway is a family-run company based in Kent that started out with little more than a few men in a van in 1961 and now has a turnover of over 300 million a year and a staff of around 2,700. Offering a range of infrastructure services, FM Conway has any number of incredible achievements under its belt, possibly none more impressive than the sheer longevity of its professional relationships. For instance, it's been working continuously with Merton Council in London for over 40 years, and you don't build up that kind of a relationship without a commitment to trust, core values, and innovation. Today, we're going to talk about the number one core value in our sector, health and safety. FM Conway have a new health and safety strategy. It's called the Big 10 in 10. It's a 10-year plan to remove the 10 biggest risks to highways worker safety. And here to talk us through all the complexity of this innovative risk analysis solution is Andrew Cox, the Safety, Health, Environment and Quality Director at FM Conway. This is not one to miss. So to start with, can you tell us about the background to this plan, how it came about, and tell us in detail how you formulated a new approach to risk?
Yeah, I'll be delighted to. It really started in late 2017. It was on the back of a real good performance in terms statistically for us in terms of health and safety. We'd achieved some of our best health and safety performance ever as a business, and it was something that we were all rightly proud of. Shortly after we'd made these milestones and all had these accolades, we had three significant incidents that all happened in quick succession, which could have easily have been fatal events. This sort of shook us to our core and made us sit back and think. We looked at our dashboards, we looked at our statistical performance. As I said, it was an enviable position. We were delighted, we'd won awards for it. But out of nowhere, we were shocked by these three major events. And we started to question, how could they have happened and why didn't we know? And when we examined all the data, all the accidents, all the incidents and the near misses, it quickly became apparent that human error was involved in the majority of my significant near misses or harm. Now, humans make mistakes, and that's completely acceptable. We are not robots. What I wanted to create, though, was a place where people could fail safely, and we could then learn from those mistakes and apply that learning. That became the fundamental pieces for us building our new health and safety approach, and it got us moving from looking in the rearview mirror on our lagging indicators to developing a system of leading indicators that got us facing forward and got us pushing our business on to deliver work environments where operatives employees could fail safely and then learn from those opportunities.
Brilliant. So it's great to hear that even though you were best in class, best practice, winning awards in safety, you were never going to be satisfied until you've done everything you can to eliminate those risks. So before we go any further, we should find out what exactly are the 10 big risks in highways worker safety and how are you going to tackle them?
As part of that, we went through our 10 big risks. We then identified how many times do we undertake that risk or undertake the activity involved in that risk each time. And we use them to group and rank the most important risks for us. As you've seen, our strategy document on our big risks has identified the following 10: working at height, confined spaces, occupational health, isolation and guarding, occupational road risk, traffic and pedestrian interface, contractor control, temporary works, safe digging and lifting operations. It's our intention to use these 10 big risks in conjunction with a reverse triangle. Our reverse triangle features elimination, substitution and engineering controls at the top as the most effective controls. What we're looking to do over the near future, over that 10-year period, is make sure that we put those controls in place to manage those risk activities in our business. So what do I mean by a reverse triangle? A reverse triangle is based off the Eric PD principles, basically. What we've got is we've got at the top of our triangle, imagine a triangle in reverse, obviously. At the top of the triangle, the wide base would be elimination. That is the most effective control measure that we can do. And I think we all agree that as safety professionals. Second down would be our substitution. Then we'd have engineering controls. Those are the top three control measures where we're not reliant on a human to save someone's life. So they are our priority. Below that, we have things that we still do that are important, but not the be all and end all. We have things like PPE, training, supervision, and competency. At the very bottom of our triangle, we've got behaviours, individual behaviours. As I described earlier, humans make mistakes. So again, trying to change every human behaviour to make sure they do the right thing every time is not something that we believe is sustainable. So that's why it's at the bottom of the triangle.
So Andrew, just quickly, let's get down to basics. Give me some examples of potentially dangerous working practices that you've eliminated.
Yes, we're very early days for us, but we've already achieved a great deal in this. Some of my other businesses and other directors in the business have really embraced this challenge and come up with some fantastic solutions already. I'll cite you a couple as you've asked for. Our plant and workshop division has identified in their business 131,000 working at height activities conducted across their operations every year. They took this challenge on by the horns and they've looked at bringing in an engineering control for their working at height solutions. They have to go up and work on vehicles a lot during the course of their work. They've introduced platforms, edge protection, various different techniques to remove us from things like step ladders. Sadly, step ladders continue to kill people every single year across our industry and in construction. They've completely removed all of those from their business now, and as a consequence have taken out 120,000 work activities out of the 131,000 they've identified. They are busy now working on the last 11,000 work activities to see how they can put in the elimination, substitution and engineering controls. Another example, which I'm really proud of, is our water and drainage management division. They go up and down confined spaces regularly. It is one of our big risks. We have to do manhole surveys where we go and take the measurements of manholes. This is a common work activity for us. I think there are circa 25,000 entries and exits every single year into manholes for that particular division. They've invested in a HD camera scanning system that can go down and up the manholes, taking all those measurements. As a consequence, they've completely eliminated the requirement to go into a manhole. Currently, this has removed 7,500 working high confined space activities from their business, and they're busy looking to get more of these into their business so they can remove the remaining of the 25,000. The last one I think I mentioned was reversing vehicles. This was the first one that we did. Reversing vehicles, like working at height, sadly, is a large killer in our industry and in construction. So again, it's something that was on our big 10 in 10. We had a near miss in our business where a sweeper reversed and narrowly missed an operative, all for the space of maybe 1 foot. That would have been a fatal event. We've looked at these weak signals and we've looked at what can we do. I thought to myself, we cannot do more indicators, tapes, warning signals, procedures, more banksmen, because I know one day someone will make that mistake. Humans are not robots. So with that, again, we applied our big risk thinking. We've adopted something called auto stopping radar across 14 of our sweepers. Our sweepers spend 50% of their time in reverse gear and do 25 to 30,000 reversing operations a year. By putting in this safety critical control, I've added in an additional layer of protection to prevent us from striking an operative while we're in reverse gear. We're taking that one step further soon, and we're using a human recognition camera to help identify humans in all forms to make it more tailored and even more effective in terms of stopping and preventing harm.
Analysis that went into this strategy, I know, is very sophisticated. You've drawn up a hierarchy of controls and interventions and are moving from using lagging indicators to using leading indicators. Can you just explain what those terms mean and how that's going to change the way you work on a daily basis?
Yes, traditionally our dashboards have been set up with the lagging indicators. Things that we'd have been monitoring on a dashboard for lagging would be our accident frequency rate, our lost time, accident frequency rate, utility strikes, minor injuries, etc. These are all what I call looking backwards. These have already happened. We're talking about an event that's already happened. We're now moving forward into the leading indicator. And again, we're trying to identify leading indicators that will identify problems coming down the road, not once they're in our rear view mirror. Basically, what this is, it records and it has on a number of corrective actions that are required to close out our most significant incidents of harm that could have potentially happened in our business. They become the focus for us at our senior team reviews, and we monitor those on a tracker. We don't put all the corrective actions on there because you can quickly become overwhelmed. We put the ones that we think will deliver the most value to our business in making us a safer place to work. They become the focus. That's what we monitor, and we track that closeout on those big ticket items. This is what our CEO and board are most focused on now at our senior team reviews.
It's a really interesting debate, isn't it? And I know that many people in the sector will have an opinion on exactly which element of the triangle should go where and what emphasis is placed on what. But I think your strategy is now closer to the safe system strategy we have when designing roads in the first place, to create a forgiving environment. So even if there is a mistake, it doesn't have to be as serious an outcome as it would previously have been. So I think that's a really important contribution to this debate. Thank you, Andrew. Andrew, with any big change, there's always going to be a transition period. There's always going to be potential pushback. Can you tell us about any of the pushback you've had or any of the debate around what you've done and what kind of influence you're having in the sector, and how other companies, stakeholders, authorities have taken on board what you've achieved at FM Conway?
Yes, as part of our strategy, our plan, we've been talking to as many people as we can about our new approach. We want to share it. We want that debate. That's healthy to have a debate, and the more people I can bring into this way of thinking, the more ideas we're going to get as a safety professional and as an industry to make greater step change of improvements. We've been around many people in our industry already and had various presentations and discussions with them. Yes, we are challenged, and some of the challenges we've had are around zero harm, and we should believe in zero, which has been an interesting debate. Behaviours obviously are priorities in other businesses. You know, behaviours are important to us, but they're not the be all and end all for us anymore. That challenge has been good. That challenge has been healthy. I'm beginning to see some change in industry. We are seeing people make some moves and change their approach and looking. I think the bit that people have got to do, and they're still looking at the lagging indicators and getting those leading indicators, is hard. And that's the next challenge for a lot of businesses to do, I feel. I think they like the approach, but getting those right leading indicators is a challenge. Interestingly, it's not all about just other companies, but our own people. We have found that our own people resonate with this approach much more than they did with zero harm. I'm speaking to operatives, gangers, supervisors, contracts managers, and they get this, they understand this, they can buy into this. And I think the subtle difference here is, and their belief is, do you know, they don't mind occasionally getting a black nail or a scrape or a graze. What they don't want is serious harm, lose their arm, have something to detract from them. That's what they don't want, but they are probably understanding to a certain amount of harm. Now, it's not that we don't care, we do care about any injury in our business, but we obviously have prioritised the most significant harm. Until we fix that, we can't move on, in my view. We need to fix the serious harm before moving on. And our operatives are fully on board with that, and they resonate exactly with what we're trying to do here.
So Andrew, can you give us a rundown of how your predictive approach to risk will be fed into the dynamic dashboard you have to help guide management?
Yes, our dashboards, we have dashboards now for every division within our business. All the dashboards feed into a corporate dashboard. On those now, 90% of the items on there are leading indicators, which is where we want to be as a business. It's something that is evolving and is changing as we learn more about our weak signals and we identify more leading indicators. We share these dashboards on a monthly basis of a senior team review, and it's cascaded through the business in a traditional approach. And then on these dashboards, we have our barometers of risk that give the temperature check for each individual director to see where their business is against those risks, and are those risks rising in their business. And again, our aim is that we make the right interventions, the right changes to reduce that rise in risk so we can mitigate actual harm occurring and not be back in the situation we was before, where we're looking in the rear view mirror and a significant event has happened. We are now in a position to see the events coming down the road. we're looking out the front window screen.
Well, Andrew, I think this is fantastic, and obviously it's already a success story. A lot of hard work has gone into producing this strategy, which is a major contribution to the health and safety debate and work practices in our sector. And you've already removed potential harmful working practices that we see on a daily basis from how you work. So that's absolutely brilliant. Is there anything you kind of want to sum up then? Perhaps what this means to you and how this has changed the way you work and the way you oversee the business?
Yes, definitely. I say fundamentally for me, this is something that anyone can do. It's not necessarily rocket science. You just need to want to examine the true reality and ask those deep questions about what's really happening in your business. Our weak signals will be no different from anyone else's weak signals. Multiply those up against your activities and you'll have your risk profile. Then you need to consistently focus on the application of that hierarchy of control: elimination, substitution, engineering controls. That will deliver us a sustainable risk environment. For us as a business at FM Conway, we often use a quote, which I think is quite apt at the moment. We use an Einstein quote, which is, "We cannot solve the problems with the same thinking that created them." And that very much is what we use in this system. We're thinking that all the time. Personally, I'm really looking forward to the innovation that people bring, especially around the elimination elements of some of our big risks, and setting those teams challenges to come up and find those new ways of working to create that sustainable risk reduction for us. If I retire at the end of my career, having achieved this, I am going to be really pleased, happy with my success, and I will have delivered our people first, go home safe vision.
Andrew, thanks for joining us. It's been an honour and a fascinating debate. There's so much for us all to think about. I hope and wish you the best of luck with this strategy. Thank you to yourself and everyone in the FM Conway team for making such an important contribution to the health and safety of our workforce. All that remains for me to say is, everybody tuning in, I hope you've learned something. I hope you can take something away and improve the worker safety at your company. Remember, FM Conway have a YouTube channel that you can tune into and find out a little bit more detail about this. And I'm sure Andrew is happy to discuss it with any potential client or people who just want to learn more. So do get in contact with us if you want to be part of Highways Presents. This is the format. We bring your knowledge to the world, and we hope you've learned something today. So for everyone watching, thank you very much. Safe working and safe journeys.